Hello, dear friends. I and my colleagues at the Indian Academy of Pediatrics have been seeing many children whose parents are concerned about their child's speech. Most parents tend to notice something amiss by about 2 years of age, and their concern usually is that their child has delayed development of speech. Now, there are three groups of such children. One group is where the child understands everything that is said, including simple three-step commands, but does not speak much. The second group is where the child understands actions but cannot follow what others says or may lip read. This second group I would be worried about hearing impairment. The third group where I would be worried most is where not only does the child not speak much, he also does not understand what is being said to him like other children of his age understand. Nor does the child use pointing or gestures like others his age. And also he does not reciprocate expressions of affection easily. In fact, he may be repeating the same phrases or nursery rhymes again and again, or doing the same actions again and again, and this would raise my suspicions of autism. Autism, as we know, is a biological condition from birth, but is evident later in life. We know it is a genetic condition, and we know that parents are afraid of the word autism because they have seen scary videos on YouTube, or have been told, or they have read that autism does not become normal. One of the reasons for this is parents mistake autism to be a speech disorder and nothing else. Parents often focus only on speech and on reading and writing and neglect everything else. Well, this may not be appropriate, though you may feel that the concern that you picked up was speech, but this may not be appropriate to only focus on speech, because if you keep working only on speech and on reading and writing and neglect everything else, the child may either not pick it up at all, or often the child may start rote learning or pattern copying and not really learning or understanding to speak. Hence, parents, the ideal way to go about this is, rather than getting worried yourself, it's better you consult your pediatrician or a developmental behavioral pediatrician. The developmental behavioral pediatrician will ask you to do some basic evaluations like a hearing test or simple blood test for thyroid. But expensive genetic tests are not necessary at first, and very often MRIs or EEGs are also not necessary at first. The developmental pediatrician will take a detailed history and examine your child and may do a screening test if your child is between 16 to 30 months of age. This is called the MCHAT screening test. The developmental pediatrician will also rule out other comorbidities like intellectual disability or global developmental delay or epilepsy or ADHD. Depending on the score of the MCHAT, or if your child is above this age group, the developmental pediatrician will explain the diagnosis to you and advise you the way ahead in detail. And for this, you may be recommended to do certain therapies for which the developmental pediatrician needs to outline current goals and targets, and will need to monitor your child regularly at intervals to see if the child is truly benefiting and going ahead with the interventions. All goals for intervention should be in a step ladder fashion as outlined by the developmental pediatrician. Moving ahead is not a good idea unless the earlier milestones are mastered. Usually in autism, speech is not the first goal, and it depends on the child's developmental condition when that should be advised. I personally check for and work on social interaction as the first goal. Similarly, reading and writing are goals that are suitable at a little later stage. With a rational intervention plan and strict monitoring, I'm sure that the child will do much better. And it's very important to understand that in this manner, all children will improve with time. Children with comorbidities or those who start appropriate intervention late may have more challenges, and if needed, the developmental pediatrician will either change the intervention or will add medications. And those safe, these medications should be taken only under supervision of the prescribing pediatrician. This is what is very important for us to understand. Please remember, autism is not a word to be feared if the appropriate intervention is advised and followed. Often hapless parents are left to fend for themselves and end up with unscientific interventions. To avoid this, please always check for the doctors or interventionists' exact qualifications and not just certifications or Instagram statuses that they may put up. Whoever you approach, always ask for their opinion or treatment plan in writing to be shared with you. Don't be taken in with words that are not backed with a written document, because whenever we put down something on a written document, we need to be doubly sure that we are giving the right advice. Don't get fooled by those who tell you that your child has only speech problems or only reading writing issues or only ADHD unless they are prepared to write it down for you. A professional may be wrong, but he should be able to write his honest opinion on paper. Don't get misled by online advertisements or absurd jargon or claims unless you can understand the same logically. Don't keep working on the same goals repeatedly for months. Either the goal is wrong for the child or the intervention approach is wrong. In short, look for specific improvement and consistent improvement. Parroting, another word for which is echolalia, which means repeating the same by-hearted phrase again and again, or mere number and alphabet copying, may not be improvements. Look for the child's social interaction and social behavior at home and with peers instead. Take small steps, they will go a long way. But make sure you are always on the right track. And it helps sometimes your parents to step back and see where you are going over the past few months. Don't only focus on the final result. Enjoy the journey as long as you are getting ahead every few weeks. And don't get dejected by naysayers and negative, pessimistic professionals or relatives or people in society or your neighbors. Ignore them and pardon them their stupidity. Finally, dear parents, always remember to look after yourself. Give yourself enough time to unwind, support your spouse, and divide your time equitably, if not equally, between your children. Of course, we advise to stay away from screen time for all of you, but screen time should be replaced by together playing and having fun time. Do something you personally enjoy every day, even if it is for a few moments, and never ever hesitate to ask for help or support from family, friends, or support groups. We at Indian Academy of Pediatrics, with 40,000 pediatricians, are always there for you. Take care and look after yourself. Thank you very much.